Thoughts of the week. This week I want to talk about Nioh. I just played this game recently and I'm stuck on the first boss, the boss that's in the boat with the wrecking balls, and it was a very unique experience. Back when I first started playing video games, back when I got the N64, that was my first console I owned, and the first game I played was Super Mario 64, and that game was very challenging for me. I had a hard time beating Bowser the second and third time when I played the game. I had a hard time getting all the stars without the help of my brother. And then I got the GameCube and the PS2, and I had a hard time with some of the games there. I started dreading boss fights. I started to sit there, I was like, I don't want to fight this boss. I just want to continue with the story in the game. I don't want to fight this boss. And I always dreaded when the game got harder. Now, over the years, when I got the PS3 and when I got the PS4, I started to go back and play other games. I started to really understand the challenge of games. I started to enjoy them. I started to enjoy challenge because it was fun to overcome these big obstacles. And I still remember to this day the very first game I beaten was when I was in middle school, and I beat Luigi's Mansion. That was the first game I beat, and I was very proud of myself. I was very, very excited that I was able to beat this game. And I think the first Zelda game I beat was either Wind Waker or Twilight Princess, but I think it was Wind Waker, and I really love that game as well. So, fast forwarding to Nioh. A lot of games recently, a lot of people can argue that the boss fights have been watered down, the challenge is almost not there. If it's there, you kind of have to up the difficulty level, that kind of stuff. And I do kind of agree with that. I do see where a lot of games are getting watered down. But with Nioh, I feel like it's a challenge that's welcome. I really enjoy the challenge that is presented in front of me. The first boss is not a walk in the park. It's challenging, and I enjoy it. I enjoy fighting this boss and dying multiple times. It's this one game. I'm not a fan of Dark Souls. I don't like the Dark Souls games personally. I'm not a fan of those. And I heard that Nioh is kind of like that, but it's also somewhat easier. So that might be the case. But for me, it's a very challenging game, and I don't find myself quitting the game. I don't find myself saying "fuck this game." I'm never playing this game again. I might take some breaks here and there with the game, but I'll always play it because the combat is so good. I really enjoy how your attacks are measured with stamina. You have to kind of balance your attacks with your evading, with your stamina. You can't just wail on the boss with your swords without depleting your stamina. It makes it so much more um, strategic, and I really, really like that about Nioh is that it kind of made me feel like I have to sit there and kind of figure stuff out. It got to the point where last night where I played it, I started to experiment a little bit more with what I was doing with this boss. I started to kind of see if I could get the if I attack in front of him, he'll keep attacking in front of him by throwing the wrecking balls in front of him. So I was like, okay, well I'll just do that and then just evade to the side so that I'll still have some vulnerability with him. And I was doing that just so that I would prevent him from swinging the wrecking balls around him, or I would be able to kind of hit his horns to stagger him. And I really found myself enjoying that. I liked the fact that this game forces me to kind of reevaluate my strategy, and not a lot of games have done that. I also recently played Horizon Zero Dawn. I picked hard for that game, and I found that game to be surprisingly easy in a lot of ways. A lot of these bosses that that should be challenging, I just found myself just walking back and just aiming with a bow and just kind of doing the slow motion and all this kind of stuff. And that's something I kind of was a little disappointed with Horizon Zero Dawn, a game that has such smooth gameplay and somewhat interesting story being weighed down by just kind of how easy it is, even on hard. And I just found myself a little disappointed with that. Uh, but with Neo, it's a game that it just wails on you. It kind of gives you a challenge to overcome. And I found myself personally getting frustrated with myself, sitting there saying, I'm still stuck on the first boss. Everyone else has passed this first boss, and I'm still stuck on it. And this is a frustration that is just kind of back when you were a kid and you were going to school talking to your friends about video games, you're like, well, I beat this boss last night, and now I'm on this boss so far in the game, and then you're just sitting there and you're like, but I'm still stuck on this first boss. How come this guy can get past it and I can't? And that's really what this game kind of makes me think back on. Like, the fact that Darkside Phil was able to beat the game and I'm still stuck in the first boss, it's frustrating, but at the same time it's like it's kind of a motivator for me to continue and keep trying to beat this game. And I really enjoy that. I really think that this is where the game really makes its mark, and it's just a game that I cannot find myself giving up on. I just want to keep trying to beat this boss no matter what. And I think that's what more games need. It needs more of these moments where a boss has this overcoming challenge that you kind of want to beat, and you want to see what happens to the boss after it. I don't like games that are necessarily hard for the sake of being hard, but I like having challenging boss fights. I don't mind if the boss itself is incredibly hard. If it's possible, that's fine. I don't mind if the boss fights are hard, and that's what happens with Nioh. The smaller enemies are fair and they're kind of fun to fight against, especially the area that's right before that boss. I love fighting the samurai that's there, etc. And then when I go to the boat, it's like, okay, now it's time to get serious. Now it's time to put my evading to the test, my offense to the test. I gotta see how I can beat this boss, and that is something that I truly, truly love about Nioh, and I think this is something that more games need in the future. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.